Good day, everyone. On behalf of Unit 7, we warmly welcome you to our presentation. Our discussion today focuses on education in the Philippines and the K-12 pedagogical approaches, a crucial topic in shaping the futures of our learners. My name is Paniergo Rojo, and I will be your moderator for this session. Together, we will explore the different teaching approaches that enhance the students' learning. We hope you find the sessions insightful and engaging. So let's begin with our journey into the world of effective teaching and learning. Before we begin our session, let us take a moment to seek a guidance and wisdom from above. Let us all bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Amen. To get us all engaged, let's start with a short dance energizer, everyone. Okay, skip that. Okay, we, the Unit 7, are excited to present our report on educations in the Philippines, the Key to 12 pedagogical approaches. Our discussion will focus on the different teaching strategies used in the Philippine education system and how they help improve the learning. Okay, before we begin, let me introduce our visual aid for today, our poster. This serves as a guidance to help us better understand our discussions on educations in the Philippines in the K-12 pedagogical approaches. Now, let me also introduce our presenters. Each of them will sharing the key insights about the different teaching strategies that shape the way the students learn. Okay, I am Regine P. Rojo, a grade 3 teacher at Mananawin Elementary School in La Castellana. I will start by discussing the constructivist approach and its role in the student-centered learning. Next, Ma'am Sherry May Paniergo, a grade 2 teacher at Masalog Elementary School, will explain the collaborative and interrogative approaches, showing how teamwork and real world connections enhance the learning. She will also summarize the key points later. Next, Mom Elizabeth Solasola, a kindergarten teacher at Santa Catalina de Alejandria Catholic School, will discuss the inquiry-based and the reflective approaches, emphasizing the critical thinking and self-reflections on the educations. Through this presentation, we hope to provide a clear understanding of these teaching methods and their impact in the Philippine education. Okay, let's begin. Okay, I will be discussing the one of the most important teaching in the K-12 curriculum, the constructivist approach. Okay, for my terminal objective at the end of the session, learners are expected to understand and apply the constructivist approach in teaching by designing a lessons that promotes the student learning and active participation. Um, for my enabling objective, first, I define the constructivist approach in education. And then presentations or communication tools, identify the principles of the constructivisms in the K-12 curriculum, can be demonstrations. And next, for the reflect on how constructivism enhance the student engagement and the learning outcomes. Okay, these objectives will guide our session today. We will begin by understanding what constructivist and its principles and how it applies to K-12 educations. Then we'll engage the activities where you can evaluate the constructivist lessons. These slides provides a breakdown on the learning objectives, uh, helping the learners track and their progress throughout the session. Okay, before we dive into our discussion, let's start with a fun activity. Wake up our minds and get us ready to learn. We will play a quick game called the Duck Race. Okay, this is the instructions. You will complete the challenge on your own. Look at the unscrambled word. Rather the scrambled word. I will display a scrambled word related to the constructivist approach. I will use the jack race to randomly select a learner who will answer, and then the select learner must unscramble the word and say their answers within the 10 seconds. Okay, after 10 seconds, I will reveal the correct answer. Okay, first, okay, who will be the lucky answer? Okay, Mom, Cherry May Pangyergo. Okay, please. Okay, Mom, answer. Okay, what is your answer, Mom? Okay, constructivist. Okay, very good. Next. Okay, Mamika. Okay, Mamika, please answer within 10 seconds. Okay, Mamika, what is your answer? Okay, prior knowledge. Okay, very good. Next. I'm sorry. Next. Okay, Ma'am Hazel, please answer within 10 seconds. What is your answer, ma'am? Okay. Okay, collaboration. Very good. Next. Okay, Ma'am Margie. Okay, Ma'am, they answer this. Okay, Ma'am, what is your answer? Okay, student-centered. Very good. Okay, last. Okay, Ma'am Elizabeth. Okay, what is your answer? Hey, what is your answer? I'm sorry. Okay, Ma'am, what is your answer? Okay. Okay, active learning. Okay, very good, ma'am. Okay, before we dive in our discussion, let me present the outline of my report on the constructivist approach. First, introduction, abstraction, four major principles in constructivist learning, comparing the traditional and constructivist approaches, application, and the conclusion. This is my outline. Okay, what is the constructivist approach? Okay, constructivist approach is a learning theory that emphasizes the active role of the learners in building their own understanding and knowledge. It is not about the passively absorbing information, but about the actively constructing the meaning through the experiences and interaction. Okay, imagine you want to learn how to bake a cake. Okay, you could read a recipe and memorize the step, but that would not actually teach you how to bake. You'd need to get in the kitchens rather than ingredients and try it yourself. That's what the constructivist learning is about. It's not about the passively absorbing information, but uh, actively building your own understanding through hands-on experiences. Okay, you learn by doing, experimenting, and making connections between what you already know and what you're learning. It's like a building house. You can read a blueprint, but you won't really understand how it works until you start putting yourself in a fitting pieces together. Okay. In constructivist, there are four key principles that help the guide the how students learn best enhance. Each of these principles plays an important role in making learning more engaging and meaningful. Let's go through them one by one. Okay, first is the prior knowledge. Prior knowledge learning builds upon what students already know. Okay, learning becomes more meaningful when students connect new concepts to what they already understand. Prior knowledge acts as foundations for deeper learning. Okay, for example, before teaching a photosynthesis, a teacher asks students about their understanding of how plants grow. This helps them relate the new informations to their existing knowledge, making learning easier and more effective. Okay, next. The second one is active learning. Students engage with content through hands-on activities and explorations. Okay, active learning encourages students to engage with a concept through hands-on activities rather than a passive listening. This method promotes a deeper understanding by involving students in explorations and problem solving. So for example, instead of just listening to a lectures of the solar system, students create the planet's models for use simulations to visualize the planetary movement, making learning more interactive and memorable. Okay, the next one is the collaborations. Collaborations is a learning enhanced through peer discussions and a group work. Okay, for examples, I have in a science project, students work in a groups to research and present solutions to environmental issues. By discussing and brainstorming together, they gain deeper insights and develop teamwork skills. Okay, the last one is the student-centered learning. Okay, the teachers act as a facilitator, guiding students to discover the knowledge on their own. Okay, in a student-centered learning, the teacher provides a guidance and support while students take an active role in discovering and constructing their own knowledge. This approach encourages the independence, creativity, and critical thinking. Okay, for example, instead of directing, explaining a math concept, a teacher gives students the real life problem to solve. Okay, by exploring the different strategies to discussing the solutions, students develop a deeper understandings of the topic. Okay, let's compare the two approaches teachings, the traditional and the constructivist teaching. Okay, the first one is the traditional teachings versus the constructivist teachings. Okay, the first one is the teacher-centered lecture-based versus the teacher-centered learning through the explorations. Okay, the teacher learning-based approach, the teacher's diverse informations, and the students passively receive it, often through the memorizations. This method focuses on the directions instructions with the minimal students interactions. While the teacher-centered learning through exploration naman encourage students to actively engage with the concepts, they ask questions, and discover the knowledge through the hands-on activities. The teachers act as a facilitator, guiding students to think critical and apply their learning in the real-world situation. Okay, next is the student memorize information versus the students build knowledge through the experiences. Okay, the students memorize the informations in traditional learning. Students rely on the rote of memorizations where they store facts and concepts without necessary understanding and their meaning of application. Okay, for example, a student may memorize the multiplication tables but struggles to apply in a real life problem solving. While the students build knowledge through experience naman, in constructivist learning, students actively engage in content by exploring the questioning and solving real-world problems. For instance, instead of just memorizing the multiplication, student might learn it by applying it in a shopping scenario, calculating prices and discounts. Okay, the last one is the little to no interactions or the real world of application versus the emphasizes the collaborations, the critical thinking and problem solving. Okay, for the traditional teaching involves little to no to interactions in the real world applications. As a student mainly listens to memorize without active uh, um, engagement, while the emphasizes the collaboration, the critical thinking, in a problem solving, encouraging students to actively participate and apply knowledge in their real life situations. Okay, class, let's move on to the application. We'll now explore how to apply what we've learned in a real teaching situation. Okay, first, instead of just lecturing, how can students explore the topic on their own? Okay, uh, in constructivism, the student learn best when they actively discover informations rather than the simply listening to a picture. Okay, for example, instead of explaining the water cycle with the lectures, students could observe and experiment by placing a bowl of water under the sun and nothing to change it, nothing the change over the time. Okay, these methods helps them experience the learning rather than just the memorizing the facts. Okay, the second one, what hands-on activity could help students to understand the lesson better? Okay, hands-on activities help students connect abstract concepts to real-life experiences. For example, in a math class, instead of just solving equation on a paper, student could use a physical object like blocks or coins to visualize the addition and subtraction. Okay, this makes a learning more engaging and easier to understand. Okay, the third one is how can students work together to solve a problem or complete a project? Okay, in collaboration is essential part of constructivist learning because students learn from each other by sharing different perspectives. Okay, for example, in history class, instead of reading about a historical event, a student could role a play a different historical figures and discuss their viewpoints. Okay, this encourages critical thinking, teamwork, making learning more meaningful. Okay, now let's move on to the conclusion and the wrap up everything we have discussed today. Okay, in conclusion, we've explored the constructivist approach, its key principles, and how it transforms the learning into an active and engaging process. Instead of just receiving information, students build their knowledge through the explorations, collaborations, and real-world application. This method shifts the teacher's role from being the main source of knowledge to a facilitator who guides students in discovering the new ideas on their own. To summarize, constructivist learning helps students connect new knowledge with what he already know, engage in hands-on activities, collaborate with. Okay, as we conclude, I want to leave you with this thought. Okay, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn by Benjamin Franklin. This quote perfectly captures the essence of the constructivisms. When the students are actively involved in the learning process, they don't just remember facts, they truly understand what and apply them. Educators and learners that continue to foster the curiosity, encourage the critical thinking, and make learning a lifelong journey. Okay, this is my references. Okay, thank you everyone for listening.